friend in the BMCC who has too many bikes, and he wondered if I would mind reassembling this for him. He originally bought it with the plan of restoring it. He does an excellent job on bikes, but he's got too many on at the moment. So what he wants instead is this one put back together so it can be sold on to somebody else. Ideally as a runner, but if that's not the case, then just fully assembled so all the bits are there and somebody can see what they're getting. So we have a frame with most of an engine in, with the mudguard and one suspension on it. We have a box with suspension parts on it, and then I'll put a photo in, but there's forks and bits to go with it. And we have another box full of bits I've yet to go through, which has got the tank in and other various bits. I don't think there's a seat. I think we're going to have to modify a seat. And then down here, if you can see it, is another box with engine bits in, well, two boxes with engine bits. So there are two engines in bits, from which hopefully I can make one engine. And then underneath there's the front and rear wheel, which appear complete, apart from sprockets. Might have to make a sprocket for it. So the plan is to go through the boxes, work out what I have, work out what's missing. So in order to go through the parts and find out what I have and haven't got, I needed a parts book. My friend had already pointed me in the right direction, and I have actually got a translated version, but what I did was go to this rpw.it site, and there's a list of Mondial parts books and user manuals, so I was able to download one of those. They're a PDF and they are just a scan of a booklet, so they're a scan as an image. So what I needed to do was save it and put it into my OCR software. I use a German piece of software called ABBY OCR. I've been using it for donkey's years. It works very well. It's a very old copy. So what you do is open it up and it will scan through. Mostly it will recognize text, pictures and tables. But what I tend to do is go through and manually do that on some of these things. Having scanned it in, I can then save it as a Word document. It's still Italian at the moment, but we'll move on to my use of OneDrive. There will be many other ways of translating documents, but what I tend to do is open the Word document up in OneDrive, and Microsoft Word comes up. It has a think about the document and notices it's in Italian, and it then suggests, do you want to translate it? Yes please, I do want to translate it. A little bit of thinking time. And you end up with a version in English now. Ignore the yellow bar at the top. So there it is in Italian, and what I do is save it back to my computer and then open it up in a copy of Word that I have, and then a very happy hour or two, maybe not as long, going through just checking the spellings. Some of the words are phrased differently in Italian to English, tidying up the tables, doing a little bit of page layout so I can get it laid out. And this is on A4 landscape with the picture on one side, the text on the other. As a catalogue, so I can go through and see what I have and what I don't have, and then either I or my friend will order those bits in if we decide we need them. And that's it. So I haven't got much done because I've been on holiday and other things, but a little update about the Mondial 125. The front forks, so lower yoke with the stem. The forks fit in the lower yokes, but before you can put these in, you have to have the covers in place. So the covers have a slot for the yokes to fit through, and then the legs push up into there. And must be a 1950 something. You can just see it's not too bad inside there, around this part where it sits in the yokes. Now, unlike my Marinis and my Gorelli, this is a cast iron yoke against a plain steel fork leg. So there's been a bit of corrosion between the two on both sides. So I had quite a few weeks, when I left it for a couple of weeks soaking in WD-40. When I pulled it apart, very carefully, because cast iron will be a lot more brittle than the aluminium, just wedged a little screwdriver in there just to open it up slightly. And then by using this aluminium blanking plug against the end, so I could bash it without damaging the end of the fork leg, I've just applied some pressure, mainly using my dead blow, but also a little bit, and eventually I got enough movement that I could slide this out of the leg. Just used some emery cloth just to clean the leg main rust off the leg. One side looks okay. It's not focusing very well, but you'll just have to take my word for it. The other side has got quite a bit of corrosion in it. I'll give that some rust treatment just to clean it off. I think I said this is not a full restoration. This is just getting it back together, and in an ideal world, running. And then if it will focus, just on the end are the seals. They're upside down forks, 1950s. Who would have thought it? Well, PSA Bantams would have thought it, and many other bikes. Did Scots have upside down forks as well pre-war? I don't know, but anyway. So upside down forks and the seals in there. I'm not sure if they had oil or they were just grease. But so they need changing, and the owner tells me he has some replacement ones. These are the lower fork, well, I say lower fork seals, so stanchions here, fork seals fit inside a lip. There's a step section in here. I think it's this end, might be the other end. Nope, there we go. Fork seals sit in that section. Fork seal washer, spring retainer. Washers and retainers are just in some evaporust, just to take any rust off them. Tube here that isn't coming, that's the one that does come off. This fork leg is rusty at the bottom, so I've got some evaporust in there just to eat that away. And this is the one that's trouble getting it off. I've been trying heat and the crack spray. This stuff, so we can get heat and cold into it. I'm reluctant to get it too hot because I don't know what sort of alloy that is, aluminium alloy, and I'm reluctant to apply too much torque because there's not much strength rotationally. It's probably alright in bending, certainly in shear, but I don't want to get too much torque on it. So fork legs, this is the one that came apart easily, or was already apart, so there's very little pitting at the bottom. The shaft looks smooth. There's no appearance of any hard chrome on there. Come on, focus. So the bushing in there runs straight on the steel on there. In the handbook it mentions 160 cc's of oil. I can see no evidence of any damping, so it must be purely for lubrication. And so this sleeve fork leg runs on this. This is just a cover to go on and make it look nice, and then the whole lot is covered by some sheet steel, so you don't actually see the forks, you just see the leg sticking out the bottom, and all the mechanism is contained inside it. And then the fork yoke clamps on this bit. I've explained it before, and it's going to be a bit fiddly to get this leg into the forks because you need to have this on the yoke already. And I believe on this one the clip-ons sit between this bit and the fork yoke, and there's some sort of rubber gasket goes along there. And then this leg is the one that wouldn't come apart, so I've slightly discoloured the cover where I've been heating it up and cooling it to get it, and as is always the way, you never think it's going to work,
and then all of a sudden, little tweak, and it just starts coming undone like it's, oh, what's the problem? I was going to come undone all the time. So these two are done, and the fork leg for this one has got quite a lot of pitting on there. Doesn't really affect the action of the fork, the lip, so I'm guessing the top yoke has got a shoulder to butt up against, and then the bottom yoke is either made of shoulder or there's another ever so slight shoulder for it to sit in there, and this bit is hidden behind the black cover. I may try and put some evaporust in there, soak a rag in and just leave it soaking, see if it can kill that rust off. The fork yokes, top one has been sandblasted, it's cast iron. The bottom one, cast iron, and all I've done is just cleaned up the mating surfaces for the fork legs, and I now have some bearings